Hey you guys, Miss Brawley here. I thought I would work a few of the expressions that we've been working on in class in case you needed a little bit of extra help at home. So what we're going to be doing is combining like terms within the expression and we're going to be simplifying. Okay, so I'm going to actually click out of this so that we can start working a few of these expressions. All right, the first one that I want to work with you guys is negative 7n minus 11 plus 4n minus 9. Now, I went ahead and I typed and highlighted variable terms in yellow and then our constant terms in green, just like we've been doing in class, so that you can see where the terms separate so that you know what you're going to be combining, okay? So as I work this problem, the first thing that I'm going to see is negative 7n, okay? That is a variable term because it has a variable. I know it's a term because it has the minus symbol here and on the other side here. So that tells me that that is a term because it's separated by those symbols. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight that yellow so that you can see that it is a variable term. Moving on, I've got minus 11. And then after that, I have a plus sign, so I know that these symbols are telling me that this is another term. It does not have a variable, so I know that it is a constant term. I'm going to highlight that green. Okay, moving on, I've got a plus 4n. Okay, I know that that is another term because we have a plus sign here and a minus sign here. I also can see that it has a variable, which tells me that it is a variable term. So I'm going to highlight that yellow. Now I've got minus 9. Okay, this one does not have a variable with it, so I know that it is a constant term. I'm going to highlight that green. Okay, now that I have finished highlighting, I can see more clearly what it is that I need to combine. Okay, whenever you're looking at your variable terms, the thing that we need to be looking at are the coefficients. Okay, the coefficients are the numbers that are inside your variable terms. Those are what we're actually going to be combining or doing the math on. Okay, so I have this minus 7 or negative 7 and a positive 4. Now, whenever we were learning about integers, we know that whenever we have opposite signs, that tells us that we're going to be subtracting. Okay, I know a lot of you see this 7 and then you see this plus 4, and it makes you want to add them together. But just be careful and watch your signs here, okay? If they're opposite, if one is a negative and one is a positive, then you know to subtract, okay? The other thing that we need to pay attention to and to remember is that whenever you're adding and subtracting integers, you look at the absolute value of the number, okay? So that tells us how many numbers or how many places away from 0 the number is on the number line, okay? So I can see that 7 has a higher absolute value than 4. So I am going to use the symbol that negative 7 has in my solution. So I have a negative, and then we said that 7 minus 4 is 3. And I have to remember to put the n, okay, because that is a part of our variable term. And I'm actually going to go ahead and highlight this yellow so that you can see that we have combined that term. Okay. Now moving on, we need to combine our constant terms. We have a negative 11 minus 9. Okay, here again, a lot of times you'll see this and you'll want to subtract 9 from 11. But as you can see, this term has a negative sign, or I should say negative symbol, and so does this 9 here. The 11 does and the 9. I'm sorry if I confused you with my numbers there. The 11 has a negative symbol, and so does the 9, okay? The rule says that if you have two of the same symbols, then you're going to add them together, and you're going to keep the sign that they both have. That's when you're adding and subtracting integers. So the sign that they both have is a negative, and we're going to be adding them together. 11 plus 9 gives me 20. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and highlight that in green so that you can see that that is a constant term. I'm highlighting these and making sure that you can see them separate because I want to make sure that you guys understand that you do not put the constant term with the variable term. They're separate. So this expression has been simplified. There's nothing else that we can do with this problem. All right, so let's move on to another one. Okay, here we have negative a plus 15 plus 3a minus 22. So again, I'm going to do what I did on the slide before, and I'm just going to go through and I'm going to highlight my variable terms yellow and then highlight my constant terms green. I'm actually just going to do it as I move along the expression. So the first thing I see here is a negative a. Okay, it has a variable, so I know that that is a variable term. I'm going to highlight that in yellow. Remember that if it does not give you a number before the variable, it's understood that the number is 1. Okay? They don't put the number 1 there, but just know that if you see a variable without a number, the number is 1 that comes before it. Okay, moving on, we have plus 15. Okay, I can see that it has a plus sign before the 15 and directly after, so that tells me that it's a term. And since it doesn't have a variable, I know it's a constant term. So I'm going to highlight that green. Moving on, I have a plus 3a. This one is a variable term. I can see that variable a. I'm going to highlight that yellow. Then moving on, I have a minus 22. There's no variable there, so I know that that is a constant term. So I'm going to highlight that green. All right, so now we are ready to combine our terms. All right, I have a negative 1 for a coefficient, and then I have plus 3 for the other coefficient. All right, so here again we have opposite signs, and we're adding integer. We're going to be adding this integer, so adding and subtracting. We have opposite signs, so what we're going to be doing is subtracting, and we take the highest absolute value. 3 has a higher absolute value than 1, so we're going to be using this sign for this term in our solution. Okay, so 3 minus 1 is 2, so we're just going to write a 2 because it's understood if there's not a symbol before it, that it's understood that it's going to be positive. Okay, and I cannot forget to put my a. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this so that you'll see that this is the variable term that we have combined and simplified. Now, we're going to look here at our green, which is our constant terms. We have a plus 15. We have a positive 15 minus 22. Here again, we have opposite signs, so we're going to be subtracting. And 22 has a higher absolute value than 15, so we're going to be using this symbol right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change this to green. So that's going to be a negative, and 22 minus 15 is 7. Okay, so we are done with this expression. We've simplified it. Remember, we cannot combine the constant term with the variable term. This is all we can do with this expression. All right, let's go on to the last one I have for us. Okay, so this expression reads 4 minus c minus 9c plus 16c minus 5. I'm going to go through and I'm going to highlight each one of the terms. I have a 4. That is a constant term. Okay, I have a negative c, or I should say minus c. That is going to be yellow because it is a variable term. It's got that variable right there. Next, moving on, we've got minus 9c. I'm going to highlight that yellow because it is a variable term. And then I have plus 16c. Okay, I'm going to highlight that yellow because that is a variable term as well. Now lastly, I have minus 5. This one does not have a variable with it, so I know that it's a constant term, and I'm going to highlight that green. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to simplify the expression and combine the terms. All right, so now we have, on this one, we have 3 terms that we need to combine, okay? We have a -1 and a -9, okay? So we know that since they have the same sign that we're going to be adding those coefficients together, okay? So we know that it's going to be a negative, and we have a 1 plus a 9 is going to give us 10, okay? Then we have plus 16, okay? And I actually should have put a C there, okay? Now I'm just trying to simplify this because we've got 3 different ones that we're combining. Now when you're looking at this, you've got a -10C plus 16C. And we remember that the rule is that if we have opposite signs, we're going to be subtracting. And we also have to remember that we're going to take the sign of the coefficient that has the highest absolute value. And I know that 16 has a higher absolute value than 10, so I'm going to be using this positive number, the positive sign. So we've got 16 minus 10 gives us 6, correct? Okay, so that is going to be 6C, because you have to remember to put that variable in there, okay? I'm going to go ahead and erase this because I don't want to confuse you. I just wrote this out so that you could see where I did the calculations for the 1, the -1, and then this -9, okay? I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now that we have combined our variable terms, it's time for us to go ahead and combine our constant terms. So we have a 4 minus 5, all right? So 4 minus 5 is going to give us a -1. And we are done with this expression. We've simplified it. It's just important to remember that whenever you're working the problem, put your variable terms first when you're simplifying and then your constant terms, okay? So in this example, we started out with a constant term, but we still want to give the simplified expression with the variable term first. Okay, I hope this helped you. You guys, I hope that you're studying. Remember to go over your vocabulary on Quizlet and try to work some of the problems that we've done in class as well. Okay, I hope you guys have a great night. See you tomorrow.